Let's look at step 3 of the AAA method, action. This is the final stage of the trivium. This is the rhetoric stage or the wisdom stage. Step 3, taking real world action. Action changes things. That is what it means to act. We want to change things, we have to act in the world. And we have to act in a true moral capacity in the world. And in an educational capacity in the world. In the third stage of shadow work, we directly apply what we have learned about ourselves through honest acknowledgement in the first stage and the commitment we have made to move forward with positive change in stage 2. The third step is real-world action, which we can apply once we have successfully diagnosed the causal factors of problems and gain full understanding of the requirements which we must meet to solve those problems. See, this is a stepwise linear progression that is not to be taken out of order. It's gather the knowledge, understand what it means, act upon it. That's the trivium method, and that applies in shadow work. You have to gather the knowledge of what you have done that is inadequate, wrong, or falls short. And in step 2, you understand what needs to be changed and how to change it. You start to understand how at the later stage of part 2. But if you're asking yourself the right questions in part 1 and you're making good affirmations in part 2, by the time you get to the action stage, you're going to start formulating real world action plans. It's not going to be some nebulous thing you don't know how to do. This is where you then break things down in small chunks and say, here's an action plan. Okay? And again, guess what? It's going to follow the steps of the trivium again, basically. It's going to be threefold. Keep it simple. Keep it threefold. That's the magic number. Okay? It's a magic number. Okay? But if you do it like that and you keep it simple, it will be attainable. It will not be something that is overwhelming. So, the third step is real-world action. We're going to do that once we have diagnosed the problem and gain an accurate understanding of what needs to be done. And then we're going to act to meet the requirements. This step is not accomplished in the mirror. Okay? So this is not the step of the shadow work process that you're doing in a quiet room in a mirror. It is manifested in the world in which we live. Now you have to step out into the world once you engage the other dynamics of shadow work and have understood what your work is to do. And then you got to go do those things. So we are now set to actualize. Again, this is what self-actualization is about. To actualize the real-life practical behaviors which are required for true self-improvement and the improvement of our entire species and the human condition. Self-actualization is actually the long-term goal of shadow work, represented here by the tarot card, the magician, who has arrayed the forces of nature in the form of the discs, the cups, the swords, and the wands, representing earth, air, water, and fire, at his table before him while he raises the wand of power, and he is making a connection as a conduit between the heavens and the earth, as above, so below. The magician is the self-actualized one who has attained a form of self-mastery by his behavior in the world. That's why he has the forces of nature at his disposal, because he has acted rightly. He is the magus, the magician, the self-actualized one, the learned one, who has converted his learning into wisdom through right action, his knowledge and understanding into wisdom. Self-actualization is the long-term goal of all shadow work. This means maximizing your potential as a human being and manifesting the highest version of yourself. This does not occur merely through knowledge, emotion, or intention, but through action. The only way we ultimately express the being we are intended to be is through our behavior. It is not through what we know, it is not through what we say, it is not through how we feel, it is through what we do in life. And that matters, and that's important, and that's what will echo into eternity if we do the things that are truly right. Plans of real-world action are what move us closer to this goal of self-actualization. Knowledge is useless without action. The Eastern philosopher Yang Ming said, "To know and not to act is not to know. To claim to know, But not to act rightly upon that knowledge actually means you still remain in ignorance and you don't truly know. You're just claiming to know. That's what that statement means. It will never truly matter how much anyone knows if they do not put what they know into right action. This is what true wisdom actually is. Wisdom is not knowledge, ladies and gentlemen. Wisdom is acting rightly upon what you know and understand. It's action. Wisdom actually is to do the right things with what we have come to know and understand. That's what wisdom actually is. That's the definition of wisdom. This stage of shadow work is directly reflected in the trivium process of knowledge, understanding, and wisdom. We must use the knowledge of our shortcomings and inadequacies, combined with our understanding of what must be done to meet the requirements for true positive change, into a synthesis comprising a real-world action plan that we will actually enact in order to bring about the changes that we seek into physical manifestation in our lives. We have to bring those changes into physical manifestation. It starts in the mind and in our deeper understanding, but then we have to act to make them happen in the physical world. Without action, knowledge is often meaningless. As Aristotle put it, to be excellent, we cannot simply think or feel excellent, we must act excellently. You have to convert wisdom and knowledge and understanding into wisdom through right action. Wisdom is right action applied in the world. Action always trumps good intentions. You could have all the good intention you want. Action is always more important than your intentions. Intentions are not enough. Words are not enough. Feelings are not enough. They must be supported by real-world actions. In New Age pseudo-spirituality, we are often influenced to overemphasize intention. This is all they want to talk about in the New Age communities. What's the intent? What was really meant by that? What did the person have in their mind and their feelings? I don't really care. What you do matters more. You could make comments about what your intentions were, but that's not going to change what was actually done in the world through your behavior. You don't unthink an action, okay? You don't unfeel an action that you just conducted. You could be sorry about it and know it was wrong, but you did the behavior. That's what you got to be responsible for. Essentially, intention is merely an internal state of emotion in which you are basically stating to yourself how you feel about doing something. It is not the behavior itself. It is separate from the behavior and distinct from it. And it is an emotional quality and dynamic and attachment. Whether any behavior is taken with either good or bad intention is practically a negligible dynamic compared to the behavior's actual resultant effects in our world. What happens is more important than what the intention was. Very unfortunately, most people have been brainwashed by New Age feel-good language regarding intention. The truth of this matter is that intention is ultimately meaningless unless it is supported by real-world action. Get the fuck over it. Get out of your fucking ego and the bullshit New Age garbage that you were fucking lied to about. Action is more important than intention. Always has been, is now, always will be, the fucking end for all eternity. Blanket statement, true forever. Action is the foundational key to all success. You will not be successful in shadow work unless you take the real world actions that you really deeply pondered and thought about and worked through in your psychology. Success doesn't come until the action manifests it. Once again, get over yourself about your thoughts and feelings. They're important. You wouldn't be able to engage those aspects of consciousness if they weren't important and necessary. Don't think they're everything. They are preludes to right action, your thoughts and your emotions. That's why it's important to be correct. That's why it is important to develop good intention. But you have to base that on right knowledge. You have to be correct in order to understand what needs to be done and then go out into the world and do it correctly. This is why skill is important. It's not just about wishful thinking and intention. You have to develop skills. That's a huge part of shadow work. Real world, skillful action. Effective action. The smallest of actions is always better than the noblest of intentions. Amen. There's a wonderful prayer right there that everybody should say every fucking day. The smallest of actions is always better than the noblest of intentions. Fucking men. Beautiful. Effective action requires the development of discipline. And folks, I'm going until I finish. And if that takes us after 10, then that's what happens. And there's not going to be a Q&A. Okay? I'm sorry, but I for my own health, I will have to stop after 10 p.m. I'm going to finish what is left up till 10 probably. And hopefully I can get it done by then. We could establish a simple working definition of personal discipline as persistence in life endeavors, usually difficult endeavors that require time to accomplish. That's what discipline is. We're going to keep going, even if we fail. Persistence in life endeavors is what discipline really is. Ideally, it is the job of parents to instill personal discipline in their children. Yeah, we know how great of a job parents in this world have done with their children. They've done such a fucking wonderful job, haven't they? Tragically, this is seldom accomplished because most parents fail miserably at this job. Instead, most parents actually do the exact opposite. They teach their children through their words and example of the parent to give up as soon as a life endeavor becomes difficult or requires a longer length of time to accomplish. That's lack of discipline, and that's what parents instill in their children. Lack of discipline almost always comes from bad programming, from bad parenting. Lack of discipline almost always comes from bad programming that came from bad parents. Get the fuck as offended as you want. Still going to be true tomorrow, the next day, the next week, the next month, the next year, and out into the eternity of the universe. You can cry about it in your fucking milk or your beer. Individuals who are specifically programmed with poor discipline by their parents must conduct uncomfortable shadow work to directly confront this unfortunate parental dynamic. Development of true discipline will largely entail two characteristics. My parents didn't teach me true discipline. I'm saying this, me, Mark, okay? You know who taught me good discipline? My grandfather on my mother's side. That was the guy who taught me discipline in life. He taught me to keep going and do things that are worth doing, no matter how hard they become or how much time they require. And he absolutely was a good man, I must say. So development of true discipline will largely entail two characteristics. First, one must develop a never say die attitude. You cannot give up. You cannot easily give up and quit. Quitters never win. Winners never quit. Persistence and willpower. Hey, I lay in bed, I feel like quitting. You know, some days. Do I do that? Do I actually give into that? No. I'm still here doing this. Persistence and willpower to accomplish the task at hand must be worked relentlessly. Second, one must develop the foresight to realize that anything worth doing is going to require sacrifice of one's time, attention, and resources. The fear of this kind of personal sacrifice must be shed through shadow work, and we must seriously commit ourselves to the task, regardless of the amount of time required. You know, Sisyphus rolling that boulder up that hill might look like it's a endeavor that's never going to go anywhere. That doesn't mean you don't keep trying and you don't exercise discipline and persistence. There are absolutely no shortcuts or cheat codes to right action. Get over it. There's no easy way. You just got to put your nose to the grindstone and do the work. See, this is what people will not tell you about success in matters of any life endeavors or in the freedom community. They won't cover any of this material. Because 99.999% of them don't know it themselves, and even the ones that may know it, they don't want it getting out there because this gets you hated instead of loved and getting all your clicks and likes and whatever the fuck you want. You say the truth about people to them, they start not liking you very much and not tuning in. This ain't here for likes and popularity, folks. This is here for the future. This is here for posterity. This is here for as long as the internet exists. I'm putting this out into the ethers. That's what I'm about. I'm not about being fucking liked. I don't give a fuck who likes me or who doesn't. I'm saying what's true. The fucking end. I don't care who brings me onto their fucking show. Would I like a bigger platform to help more people understand this? Yeah, sure. If that doesn't happen because people don't want to engage with my realness, they can go fuck themselves. I'm not interested in weak shits like that. I'll do it on my fucking own to the extent that I can until the day I fucking die then. Oh fucking well, so be it. One can never skip over the natural process during the action phase of self-improvement and shadow work. Improvements must be done right, not hastily. Don't try to rush to get it done quickly. Do it right. Action must be conducted in such a way as to meet the necessary requirements, which may not be skirted or ignored or skipped over. No bypassing. There are absolutely no shortcuts for corrective action to solve problems. Stop looking for shortcuts. Stop imagining that shortcuts even exist for such processes. Is a total self-defeating illusion. No shortcuts exist. Hard work exists, and it has to be done right. Spend the time to do what is required the right way, even if the right way is the hard way. Then do it the fucking hard way. That's it. Did your parents tell you that? Did your teachers tell you that? Did your clergy tell you that? Did your friends and family tell you that? I'll bet you virtually zero of them did. And if you had anybody that told you that, you're lucky. You're lucky as hell. Engage true present moment awareness as part of action. You have to be fully present to do the behavior that's required. One of the most important steps of occult initiation is also a critical component of shadow work. This is the maxim to live in the present moment, the moment of now, the only moment that really exists. Stop having regret for the past and anxiety for the future. Now is the only thing that exists. While essential to all three stages of AAA shadow work methodology, present moment awareness is absolutely fundamental when it comes to the action phase of shadow work. Being truly present for a necessary plan of action is a dynamic that sadly escapes most people's understanding. Present moment awareness doesn't mean that you are seeing time in some new age, undefinable, non-existent perspective. It doesn't mean ignore time, folks, for people that think that. It doesn't mean get lost in everything such that you don't even understand what time it is. That's not present moment awareness. It means that you are fully present when you are doing a behavior and not existing in a state of distraction or anxiety about what the future may bring. This is the principle of non-distractibility, which we're going to talk about. It means that you have fully and completely shown up to perform the task at hand, and you're not zoning out. You're not going to allow any other dynamics that present themselves to take you off your mission to accomplish that task. You're fully present and you're fully on mission. And you're not just zoning out all over the fucking place, not focusing in. Not letting distracting thoughts take you off your mission path. And this brings us to the principle of non-distractibility. This is what elitist occult parents teach to their children. They teach them how to not be distracted by anything that happens in their environment and focus in on the attainment of their goals. And that's why they're so much more effective people than we are. And that's why they're able to enslave us. Because they are effective individuals who practice the principle of non-distractibility and actually accomplish the work that they set out to do, instead of being the wishy-washy losers that people in the so-called freedom movement or the average schlub is. I'm telling you the hard, cold, harsh truth regarding that dynamic. Some elitist families teach their children what most common parents fail to teach their young children. Oh, I'm sorry. Something that elitist families teach their children, which most common parents fail to teach their young, is the principle of non-distractibility. This mental dynamic teaches one never to allow their focus to drift or disengage from the immediate task at hand in the present moment. It is true present moment awareness. Contrary to stubborn popular belief, the idea that multitasking is a desirable ability is actually a nonsensical and self-defeating dynamic which often creates distraction with respect to the achievement of desired goals. And that's why the elitist occultist families and bloodlines and social engineers want to teach you and tell you that to try to aspire to do incredible amounts of multitasking at whatever task you're engaged in is preferable, is something that you should seek out and find preferable to do. They want you failing. This is the surest way to fail, is to say, I'm going to set out to multitask all different endeavors at the same time. You have to focus in relentlessly on one task at hand and then get it done and then move on to the next task. You do not split your attention and attempt to multitask. Anybody telling you to do this is either a liar or a fucking moron. And you want to believe it? Go ahead and believe liars and fucking morons. Go ahead and be an effective fucking dumb person. Go right the fuck ahead. That's your choice. But I'm telling you what the real shit is from the fucking people who are ruling the fucking world and how they got to that level. Not that we should aspire to rule the world, but we should aspire to fucking be as intelligent as them so we can stop them from implementing their agenda to enslave everyone. When setting an action plan, do one thing at a time. Be fully present and undistracted by other tasks while doing it, and do it the right way to the best of your ability. I'm going to say that sentence again. When setting an action plan in the third stage of the shadow work method, do one thing at a time. Be fully present and undistracted by any other task while doing that one thing, and do that one thing the right way to the very best of your ability. You do that, you're going to achieve success in that thing. You don't do that, you're going to be a totally ineffective fuck up. So, you choose. Here are the elements of a strong and effective action plan. Truly effective plans of action contain some basic shared characteristics. The very first characteristic of a good action plan is that it should be kept simple. Keep it simple, stupid. Start there. Don't over-complexify. Don't over-complicate. Keep it simple and elegant. Make it so that a 4-year-old child can understand the action plan. One should never overcomplicate an action plan or make it overly elaborate. That will ensure that its goals remain fuzzy and its implementation remains elusive. The second characteristic of a good action plan is that it should be well defined, meaning the steps to manifest a plan should be clearly and distinctly spelled out and should never be nebulous. They should never be fuzzy, hazy plans of action, steps of action. They should be very distinctly and clearly spelled out. Other characteristics for a good plan of action: make sure that it is feasible within the limits of your resources. Don't set overly grandiose plans that are going to require millions of dollars to achieve, because you're probably not going to acquire those resources to do that. Make it simple and feasible within the limits of your existing resources, your attainable and existing resources, and set measurable and timed goals for the plan. So if I'm making the shadow work seminar, I'm saying I need this much time to promote. I have to set it out into the future by this many months to get people to enroll. There's measurable and timed goals. I need to know I have time to make all my slides and get them looking correct and get all the concepts and ideas formulated in the way that I want that can be clearly expressed. That's a plan of action. That's not just some nebulous bullshit that I just float some ideas out there on one day and don't actually concretize them into a fully formulated action plan with set, measurable, and timed goals. You can't be some pie in the sky, new age, grandiose idea person with no practical way of carrying out those ideas. Do you know how many times I sat with people in the Tesla Science Foundation that were coming up with the most ridiculous, grandiose schemes of what to do for conferences? And I'm like, how the fuck are you going to pay for that? Do you know what the budget for this fucking conference is? It's under $20,000. You're talking about one thing you want to do for one part of the conference weekend that would cost $180,000 fucking dollars. Are you out of your fucking mind? Or more, or maybe 200,000. And you think you're going to carry that out? What? Investors are just going to come out of the woodwork for our little fucking conference here? You got to make it practicable. You have to have measurable, set, timed goals that are accomplishable, that are feasible. Not pie in the sky bullshit, willy-nilly. I wish to do this, and so the universe is suddenly going to come along and grant me all my wishes. This ain't a fucking genie in a bottle, folks. This is doing what is practical and feasible with the resources at your disposal. And there's tons and tons and tons that could be done under those characteristics. Tons. So let's look at some simple action plans. And we'll define how we formulate them and carry them out. So once again, folks, it all starts and ends with worldview. If you don't understand that, make that one of your big takeaways of this seminar. So we need an action plan for healing our own personal worldview. So we acknowledge that it was fucked up in step 1. We make a commitment to healing it in step 2. We make an action plan to actually healing it in step 3. The very first dynamic one should work is to heal one's own worldview. Okay? Once it has been acknowledged that improvement is required when it comes to our personal worldview, again, about what is possible, about what human nature is, about what our work is to do to actually make improvements with ourselves and our world, that entire worldview has to come first. It's understanding what is possible and what needs to be done. So, when it comes to worldview, and once one has understood what is wrong with the worldview, and once one is committed to the improvement of one's worldview through proper affirmation, then an action plan must be initiated. We have to draw up a proper action plan. So for basic effectiveness and simplicity, I will be citing very simple 3-step action plans. Lo and behold, they're simple 3-step plans following the trivium for the examples that I will provide in this section of the seminar. Keep it simple. Don't overcomplicate. Make it feasible. Set measurable and timed goals. Here we go. An example of a good action plan regarding worldview healing is such. Step number 1, watch 3 inspirational videos per week dealing with personal stories where people were shown to change from bad people to good people with hard work over time. There's tons of inspirational documentaries and stories like that. In 1 week, watch 3 of them. So now you're implanting the programming into your own worldview. Positive change is certainly possible. People who used to be bad people can become good people. People who used to be ignorant people can become holistically intelligent people. People who were immoral can learn true morality. There's an endless amount of examples regarding that. Action plan number 2 to heal worldview. Step 2, find 3 books dealing with the science of epigenetics and read them all the way through. This will get you to understand where programming comes from, how it is environmentally programmed into us through culture, how we are not chained by genetics, and that behavior can change regardless where in the world we live, what circumstances we have had to endure. It's all about programming. And if you don't understand the science of epigenetics and haven't studied it yet, you're missing one of the biggest, most gigantic pieces of the puzzle. And I'll talk about that a little bit more in this section. Action plan for healing worldview. Step number 3, adjust your diet to exclude many refined foods and toxins, and to include adaptogens, detoxification agents, and nootropics. So get the toxins out, get some good things in. Habituate this over time. Maybe adjust your diet over a month to do this. Take some adaptogenic powders or adaptogenic mushrooms. Take some detoxification agents like NAC or methylene blue. Take some nootropics that will help with brain chemistry and thought and alertness, and see how you feel. And then adjust it. That's part of an overall action plan. And this is part of understanding change is possible and healing worldview. So you're going to get toxins out, proving that if you take some real world action and then you put good things and nutrients into the body, you'll see positive change. Positive change is possible. It requires hard work. Okay? So this is about understanding people can change. We are not bound by our genes. And if we do the right things, we'll see right results over time. There's tons and tons and tons of people in this world that are living proof of it. Including myself, not excluding myself. Okay? So you do that homework and you adjust your worldview. Simple, 3-step, non-complicated, feasible, and timed action plans. Not difficult. It's about habituating that good behavior to make the desired result manifest. Here's an action plan to increase your own holistic intelligence. People have called this spiritual intelligence. I think that's a great name for holistic intelligence, because there's intellect, there's emotional or intuition. You could call that nurturing intelligence or creative intelligence. But putting them both together, that's holistic or spiritual intelligence, which is synchronizing the whole brain. To increase holistic intelligence, one must first identify which hemisphere of the brain needs balancing. We all have tendencies for imbalance toward either the left or the right brain hemisphere. So once a diagnosis is made regarding which hemispheres must be worked more, a simple action plan can then be developed to create balance and synergy between left brain and right brain modalities of thought and consciousness in the mind. An example of a good action plan regarding the development of holistic intelligence follows. 3-step, simple, practical, feasible action plan. Step number 1, allot 2 hours for memory, focus, and concentration exercises. Allot an additional 2 hours to meditation, music, and art during the course of a day or a couple of days. Take 2 hours for memory, focus, concentration, memorization, things that operate the serial processor of the brain, the left brain. Then engage the parallel processing unit, the right brain hemisphere. Allot an additional 2 hours, maybe during the course of a single day, to meditation, to music, and to art. You will see holistic intelligence increase over time just by doing those things, instead of engaging one dynamic or another perpetually. Number 2, second step of the action plan. Spend a portion of each day working on the organization of either a physical or digital environment. Literally work on organizing your house, organizing your clothes, organizing your kitchen supplies, organizing, food supplies. Go into a digital space like a computer and organize your files if you know how. Spend the time to learn how to do that first, obviously, but then spend time organizing your digital life. Spend an equal amount of time during the course of any given day, after you've done those things with physical and digital environments, completely daydreaming, contemplating things, or just thinking intuitively. So one's going to engage the serial processor of the brain, the left brain. That's the organizational component. One's going to involve the heuristic side of the brain with daydreaming and contemplation and intuitive thinking. Then, before you know it, you're going to develop more holistic intelligence. Practical action items, not nebulous pie in the sky thinking, folks. Boots on the ground, practical, feasible action items. Number 3, for a couple of hours each day, do a physical task with the opposite hand you usually use for the task. Use the mouse on the computer with your left hand instead of your right hand. Stir your coffee with a different hand than you usually do. Okay? When you cross tasks with hands that you normally always do with the same hand, you are using the opposite side of the brain to do that, because the opposite side of the brain controls the opposite side of the body. The left brain controls the right side, the right brain controls the left side, generally. When you mix that process up, you are telling the brain, stop segregating and stop operating with synchronous intelligence. They do this with martial arts all the time. You have to do the same task that you do in a left lead and then do it in a right lead with your stance. Okay? So you should be ambidextrous when it comes to certain tasks, or just practice ambidextrous behavior by switching up hands. And you will see it will build holistic intelligence. Let's look at another action item plan. One, to grasp the true causal factors. We think, oh, this is just, it's going to come to us somehow. No, we can learn how to understand causality. There are action plans for this, ladies and gentlemen. To truly understand causality, the why that underlies all physical manifestation that happens in our world, one must change their thinking at a fundamental level, focusing on governing dynamics of reality instead of the effects that have already manifested in the physical domain. You will never understand causality simply by looking at the effects of what happened. You have to go to the underlying cause that drove the effect into manifestation. This is understanding how all things are governed by laws. They're not random. So, a simple action plan for learning causality in the universe is a 3-step process. And again, we could do millions of these. This is just one example. It's not just how to do it. It's a few examples of how to do it. That's all. There could be millions of examples of how to do the same task. Okay? But here's a simple 3-fold example. Examine life patterns and choices that have led to either desired or undesired results. And then imagine in your own mind how completely different patterns and choices would manifest entirely different results in the present moment. Meaning, let's say you had maybe a husband or a wife who died from, let's say, I don't know, heart disease because they became so obese because of their life choices in diet and lack of exercise. And they didn't take care of the physical vehicle. They got super overweight and obese. They developed a heart condition, and eventually they passed far younger than they should have. Because you don't see too many 90-year-old 400-pounders, do you? Sorry to just put it out like that, but you don't. Really, really big people don't live as long because they develop health problems and eventually they die before their time. So, look at the life choice through exercise, through diet, through nutrition. Look at how they failed. Then imagine, what if they really did engage in true nutrition and healthy life choices and exercise daily? Maybe they could have dropped a bunch of weight and lived to be 93 or 4. Who knows? Or even older. So that's part 1. Do that mental exercise. Part 2, contemplate what would happen if order followers refused to conduct harm on the orders of their so-called superiors. How would the resultant harm, if they wanted to exterminate Jews in the Nazi German society during the Nazi reign from 33 to 45, okay? How would they have done it without all the order followers in the SS and the Gestapo and the SA, the Sturmabteilung, the SS, the Schutzstaffel? How, without all those willing order followers, would they have basically waged a campaign of pogroms against certain individuals? Jews, Nazis, Jews, what's the word I'm looking for? Not pilgrims, I can't remember the term. They're like Eastern European wanderers. I don't know why the term is slipping my mind. Gypsies, even occultists and Freemasons. They conducted campaigns of wiping them out. Regardless of who you want to talk about, just contemplate what would happen if the order followers said, no, we're not doing those immoral behaviors. And that was all signed into law as well. Let's not forget that. All of that was done legally with the full permission of government through all the legal frameworks and the courts in the Nazi society. So don't get into starting to tell me, hey, it's not about the order followers, or it's not about what people are seeing as acceptable morally just because it's quote unquote legal. This is all about the change of a framework and what the causal factors that people are doing things because they've accepted nonsense and they've accepted bullshit religious notions and bullshit political notions to do the wrong thing. Number 3, action item plan. To grasp true causal factors, find and read 2 books from esoteric occult traditions such as Hermeticism, Freemasonry, Rosicrucianism, or Theosophy that examine the occult laws of cause and effect. Because then you're going to be on your way to understanding natural law, because that's what it's all a part of. It's about those unseen natural laws that operate in the universe and govern our behavior at a fundamental level. So study the laws of cause and effect in these occult traditions, and you'll begin to understand causal factors. And as a result, you'll really begin to understand natural law. None of this stuff is unattainable. This is all stuff that is actually practicable, doable, feasible within everybody's capability. I'm not going to present anything that is grandiose or impossible. Because, you know why? There's no excuses for not practicing any of this, for not actually engaging in right action through plans like this. Here's an action plan to give birth to true care, agape care. All too often we don't take necessary action simply because we don't care quite enough. Care, true care, agape care, is the dynamic that ultimately gives birth to right action in the world. But if care isn't present in enough quantity or quality, we need an action plan to develop true care. A good example of an action plan to develop true care within yourself is the following. Step number 1. Contemplate those who fought and died in the American Revolution, and imagine how much darker this world would presently be had they not made the sacrifices of care to do what was morally right in that time period, to actually beat back the advances of the British, form a new country that placed individual sovereignty to the level that it did, and also taught people that the form of republic that it was forming was only for good and moral people. And if we didn't have that example in the world, everybody living today would already be fucked and enslaved completely. Far worse to the level that we are enslaved now. It would be chattel bondage. People ought to bend over and kiss the fucking ass of the people that waged the fucking American Revolution. Only miles from here, some of the battles were fought. 10 minutes away. And those people gave the ultimate fucking sacrifice, their whole lives, and died. And died to just give us the opportunity to secure freedom. And look at what we're doing with it. We don't even want to learn a fucking computer system to fucking teach people morality. These people took fucking bayonets with fucking bleeding feet in the fucking ice. Took bayonets in their fucking heart. That's how much they cared about being and remaining free and securing freedom for their fucking children to come after them. And we're squandering their very fucking blood. Compare that to the lack of sacrifice of people today. To call it an embarrassment is an understatement. It's tragic, is what it is. It's a tragedy. It's a horror story. It's mournful. That's one of my new favorite words to use about the condition of humanity. It's fucking mournful. Mournful. And the people who don't understand that, I feel fucking pity for you. If you're from other countries and you don't get what was done here. and why and how important it is to the whole fucking planet. If you don't get that, you don't get shit. It's a topic I'll die on that fucking hill. I'll die on that fucking hill. That doesn't mean America was perfect by any stretch of the imagination. It was never perfect. But let me tell you something. It's better than anywhere else, and it has remained the highest consciousness nation on this planet. You could say whatever you want about the fucking assholes running this country, and believe me, they're fucking satanic losers. However, nobody is going to tell me that consciousness is any higher anywhere on earth than it is right here in the United States. That's where this information's coming from. That's where I learned most of the information that I know, from people who live right fucking here and did great things because they had the opportunity to, because it was free to at least an extent that they were able to develop those characters and characteristics and qualities. And thank fucking God, or we wouldn't even be having a discussion like this. The world, if America falls, the whole fucking godless fucking world falls. And you better know that like you know your fucking ass. Number 2 in this threefold action plan. Imagine the suffering of trafficked and tortured children all over this planet, and how much worse the suffering of children will be if we lose the battle for human freedom. Imagine if these satanic fucking pedophiles are completely allowed to run fucking amok. The amount of children they're already fucking murdering and torturing is unfathomable. Imagine if the world's freedom completely fucking falls, what these fucking satanic elitists will do to children. They'll roast them on fucking spits in public spectacle and eat them in front of you. And if you don't think that's how far it'll go, you're fucking crazy and naive. Number 3, research and understand the suffering of animals and the tortures they go through on a daily basis as beasts of burden and so-called food. And imagine that happening to your fucking children. But it's just for my taste buds and my food. Yeah. And we wonder why we're being fucking tortured? And we wonder why we're losing our fucking freedom? You don't need to look too far. The answer lies at the nearest fucking slaughter factory. And people will be cold and callous about that. And that's what I mean. You don't have fucking true care. Watch the Earthlings documentary to understand what we do to animals on a daily fucking basis. And if you're not quivering in a fucking fetal position, there's something wrong with your fucking heart. Let alone your fucking brain. You must be some fucking psychopathic, demonic loser. And that's the problem. We don't even consider these things. We don't even think about them ever. It's just my creature comfort has to come first. My taste buds have to come first. And hey, I'm not just setting up and dying on that hill. That's why I'm not a militant vegan. I'm just saying what is. I'm just saying it honestly and giving people exercises to ponder and contemplate. You want to develop true care? That's what you better start thinking about, things like that. Here's an action plan for the development of effective diagnostics for problem solving. So you can develop the ability to diagnose and solve problems. You can work at that. Wasn't just born good at that. You think I always knew how to troubleshoot computing systems like I do now? Or like I did when I was doing that professionally? That's hard fucking work. It's a lot of knowledge you got to take in and practice every day. I was the best at it. Not just damn good, the best in the whole tri-state Delaware Valley area. Pennsylvania, New Jersey, Delaware, up into northern New Jersey, close to New York, down into Maryland. I was the best technical troubleshooter in that whole region of the country. Certainly for Macintosh systems, for Macs. Windows I knew almost as well. Linux, not quite as well, but Macs, I was the expert in that system, in that operating system. So, without accurate diagnosis, we can never make large strides in the world of self-improvement. We need effective action plans for self-diagnostics and problem solving. In other words, how to troubleshoot our life situations. A simple action plan for this follows. Step 1, study the Trivium education methodology. You want to learn diagnostics? Learn the trivium. That's the truth discovery method, and it will reveal the truth about the causal factors for problems. Diagnostics. Study the trivium education methodology. It is the greatest method of diagnostics for both large-scale and small-scale problems ever devised. That's why it's no longer taught in the education system. It's been removed because they don't want the average Joe Schmo and Sally Schmo to learn effective diagnostics for problem solving. They want you throwing your hands up and saying, well, I don't know, what could I do about it? The trivium will teach you what to do about it. Step number 2, practice troubleshooting on systems such as computers or household technology. And again, that's just physical diagnostics. That's not even philosophical diagnostics, right? This can help you improve identification of causal relationships, after which similar diagnostic methods can be developed for application to other areas of life, particularly philosophical areas of life and psychological areas of life. Number 3, read and take notes on Richard W. Wetherill's book, How to Solve Problems and Prevent Trouble. It's a diagnostic manual for life. It's a diagnostic manual for the understanding of natural law. All of Wetherill's books are, quite frankly. He was a genius when it came to the understanding of natural law and morality. Develop an action plan to develop more willpower. And instead of saying, I can't do it, say, I can do it. Only through the development of willpower do we actively engage in right action to reach our goals. Willpower must literally be built like a muscle through consistency and repetition. A good action plan to develop willpower follows. Number 1, practice following through with simple everyday behaviors like organization or cleaning without giving up or leaving it for later. Do it now and finish it. Simple tasks. Force your will upon it until it is completed. Don't just let it go or leave it. This builds neural pathways in the brain that tell us, do it until it's finished. Go all the way. Don't do it half-assed. Those neural pathways get built through that kind of behavior. Number 2, make small changes in diet that you have previously avoided making and stick with those changes to habituate them. You don't have to go all in all at once. Make small changes to your nutritional intake, for the better, of course, and habituate those changes over time. So that's development of willpower. Maybe you say, Monday and Tuesday of every week, I'm not going to eat any meat or fish. I will eliminate that from my diet for 2 days of the week and just stick with that. Then maybe at some point you increase it to 3, and then 4, and then 5. Small incremental changes habituated over time are the keys and pathways to success. Number 3, delay a personal gratification until one specific goal is accomplished. I'm not going to go see that music band that I wanted to go see that plays in this area until I get my presentation on natural law done. You see, you delay a personal gratification. You say, I'm going to put this off. I'm going to put that on the back burner. I will not focus on that. I will focus on something and sacrifice something that I want to do to totally accomplish one of my desired goals. And you finish that goal, and then you reward yourself after. The elitist families of our world do this all the time. They teach their children to delay personal gratification until goals are achieved. And then it's party time, but not until you actually manifest what you wanted to manifest in the world goal-wise. Here's an action plan to care for and activate the physical body, because that's the 5th and final maxim of occult initiation. Activate the physical body. This is exceptionally important because the body, as the vehicle for human consciousness, will be required to be in peak condition for the implementation and manifestation of all of the requirements for self-actualization or freedom. You're not going to be able to do those things without a healthy body. So if you're neglecting the health of the body and your nutrition is completely out of whack, you're going to have brain fog. You're not going to understand diagnostics of problems and what the solutions are, and you're not going to be able to implement them through action plans that require the body. That means get your body in order. Where the body goes, the mind follows, and vice versa. The body-mind connection must be fully realized and deeply respected. If you're putting shit fuel into your body, you're going to have a ton of brain fog and you're not going to be able to think straight. And your body's going to be weak and beat down and unhealthy. You put the right fuels through nutrition into the body and you habituate that process, you're going to be strong, you're going to be able to think right, you're not going to have brain fog, you're going to understand what the action plan needs to be, you're going to be able to help morally educate other people clearly and effectively. This is common sense, practical, real-world physical goals. You don't need to be some muscle master, right? I'm not telling everybody to go out there and try to be a bodybuilder. I'm saying get your health in order so that it's not a constant nag upon what you wish to achieve. And it's acting as an anchor and holding you back because you're constantly at doctors, you're constantly sick. Care for the physical vehicle. It's going to be necessary for anything you want to manifest in life. So here's an action plan for care and activation of the physical body. Number 1, incorporate more whole, fresh, plant-based foods into your diet while diminishing processed foods, meat, and dairy. And if you still don't think that that's a plan for proper nutrition and health, you haven't studied the correct information. And again, I'm not making it the hill I set up and die on, but I'm saying there's a truth to the matter. And if you think it's other than what I just laid out there, you don't have the truth in hand or in mind. And that's it. I'm just stating what's true. Number 2, do simple physical exercise on a daily basis like stretching, walking, yoga, simple gym training, whatever. Figure out what you want to do that works for you and do it every day. Or at least every other day, you know. Number 3, choose and practice at least one form of the martial arts on at least a weekly basis. Even if it's a light form, practice some form of self-defense because most likely in your lifetime in the physical world you're going to need it. Okay? Real world action plans for the body and self-defense. Here's an action plan to make personal sacrifices and actually put skin in the game for the war for freedom. Nothing great ever comes without sacrifice. Truer words could never be spoken. If you want to accomplish great and important things, you have to make the sacrifices that go along with those things, the accomplishment of those things. Without sacrificing comfort and pleasure, very few, if any, of our long-term goals will ever manifest in our lives. This is what most teachers will never teach you. We must learn to leave the so-called comfort zone, as it is really a prison that keeps us from achieving self-realization. A good action plan to manifest the necessary sacrifices and put skin in the game in the war for freedom are, here's a threefold action plan. Curtail your usual entertainment activities for a few weeks or months. Instead, use that time to create some form of educational outreach, such as a video, a podcast, a presentation, or a live event, such as this. It doesn't have to be as big as this project's scope. It could be a half an hour. But put your usual comfort and pleasure off to the side. Put it on the back burner just for a small amount of time to habituate and build the neural pathways that say making sacrifice is okay and I need to engage in it and I will do it. And then make some moral educational content of some kind. Number 2, start speaking to family members and friends about matters of worldwide importance that affect the freedom of all people. And maybe some people have done this and they haven't had much success. Well, keep doing it. Don't just give up and say they're not willing to listen. Find some common ground to speak with them about and then work some of these matters of true importance into the conversation. Number 3, find a truly worthwhile cause that already exists in the service to human freedom in some form and volunteer to provide assistance in some form to that organization. How many people who live in my area may have been able to contribute to helping with my work, and they don't because they just want to be comfortable and they just want their creature comfort and pleasure. I've been asking for help in this area for years, and only a few people have ever come to the table. It's very sad. I'm grateful for the help that I have received, but I definitely need more help and higher level help as far as understanding computing and programming. It would be of great assistance were I to be able to receive that. But most people who have those skills don't want to sacrifice. Most people who want to help don't have those skills. That's the issue. But this is all about doing a practical action plan to actually put some skin in the game. All practicable, real world ideas that are actually feasible. Here's an action plan to engage in true responsibility. Real responsibility is the personal dynamic we engage when we rise to the truly important challenges in life, like facing injustice and slavery head on, and setting our lives in order enough to activate and participate in that critical work. It means not everything has to be perfect in your life, but your life can't be a train wreck to the extent that you can't even get involved in the great work. You have to organize your life to the extent that you could do something, that you could participate, you could engage, you could assist in some form. There's a role for everybody. An action plan for engaging true responsibility. 1. Practice removing excuses for why you have not activated in the great work of ending human slavery out of your mental and physical vocabulary. Take the excuses out of your speech, out of the equation entirely. Just start with that. Don't provide excuses. Don't do this. Don't go, I have too many bills. I have kids. I got to go to work every day. No one gives a rat fuck. It doesn't matter. Those are just things that everybody's got to fucking deal with. You got to do true responsibility and true engagement in the great work on top of that other shit. And fuck off if you disagree. You got to do it on top of that. No excuses. Number 2. Take on some real responsibility in the war for freedom by getting directly involved in moral education and activism for just causes, especially moral education. I'm not as big on activism causes as I maybe once was. I'm not saying they're completely worthless, but getting directly involved in moral education is the absolute number one factor that you could engage in to increase your personal responsibility to heal the world. Number 3, practice better time management, dedicating at least some free time each week to something that goes beyond your own personal needs and desires. Leave the comfort zone, leave the pleasure zone, and do something that goes beyond the self. In other words, stop engaging in de facto Satanism and get involved in something that extends beyond your bullshit care about only yourself. We all have a responsibility to try and make this world better, whether it's through our work, the causes we champion, the way that we treat people, or the values we impart to the next generation. Stop making excuses. Start getting on the battlefield. Start taking up that responsibility.